All right, let's just to give you a breakdown of this Fetterman piece quickly, because I don't even think we
talked about it after you left on Friday with Matt Leap.
Okay.
It was incredible, like not in a good way, but I have it right here actually. So.
No, I mean it is obvious from the piece that John Fetterman has not recovered in many, many ways neurologically from his stroke. And what I found, and I mentioned this with the Chapo guys, Gentleson here, this is a total reformation project for him.
Yeah.
And you have to ask yourself why.
The staffer, who's the big source,
chief of staff.
Yeah.
And we had him on this program way back when we were talking about the filibuster. He worked for Harry Reid, whose politics I thought were quite good as the Senate Majority Leader. Isn't that great? But relative for a guy coming from Nevada, from that era, pretty good.
And compared to Chuck Schumer.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, he was smart. Let me put it this way. He was smart as a tactician. In fact, a lot of the DC circuit, I don't want to go too far afield with this, but the reason why we're getting a lot of these court cases out of the DC circuit that are so important to the functioning of our government was because that's when he made the decision to get rid of the filibuster for those court appointments. But Gentleson, obviously the reporter, he is known about this. They're friends. He's friends with the reporter. The reporter reveals that.
Yeah.
Gentleson has known this stuff, obviously, for a couple of years. And you got to ask yourself, why now? Like, I can understand that, at one point you think you send a letter to the doctor and you say, I'm concerned about him. He's not taking his medication. He's acting in this way or that way that you told us to watch out for. But that was over a year ago. What's changed between now and then? Now, the obvious time to have said something publicly would have been after the car accident, where he nearly killed his family, and God knows he could have killed who else.
He's also bought a gun, they say, in this. This is where, and you see his wife is pleading with the staffers repeatedly. It's deeply sad, and it doesn't sound like a safe situation.
When the car accident happened, and you realize that this guy's out of control, it seems to me that there's a responsibility to go public with it then. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't do it then as opposed to now. And the other thing is that these check this out. This is a car crash. This is back in the summer of 2024, right around the time when that letter was written that Gentleson wrote to the. Check this news report.
It happened here on Interstate 70 westbound just before the 68 split, not far from the Pennsylvania border. A witness tells police Fetterman's vehicle passed her at a high rate of speed, well over the posted limit. Seconds later, the witness saw Fetterman's SUV slam into the rear of a car. 11 investigates traveled 2.5 hours southeast of Pittsburgh, and we found Fetterman's crushed SUV at a garage in Hancock, Maryland. The front end twisted and mangled metal. The windshield shattered. Front airbags deployed. The tires bent out from the frame. The father of the garage owner described a violent collision based on the damage.
Yeah. He hit that car so hard it come clear up on top of the SUV. I mean, that shows that man hit that woman a heck of a lick.
Fetterman and his wife and the driver of the other vehicle, a 62-year-old woman from Pennsylvania, were all taken to nearby War Memorial Hospital with possible or suspected minor injuries. After being released from the hospital and making it home to Braddock, Fetterman, holding a bag of frozen food that he used to ice a sore shoulder and a bottle of Tylenol, posted a video with his wife.
Here's the thing. They were complaining that the guy was like tweeting while he's driving 70 miles an hour. And
I mean, just to say, the article has a bunch of different things, like that he met with Sherrod Brown and started not acknowledging him and walking in figure eights, that he sees shadows in the hallway and thinks that there are figures that are following him. But the stuff that is just the most important, in my view, has been his full-throated support for the genocide in Gaza. And I just want to read this one part of it, because people may not have heard this, that since he became a full-blown Israel supporter after his his stroke, although he was always sympathetic to it before, but even more rabidly so. There was also Fetterman's wife, Giselle, who had become something of a political celebrity in her own right. She is a kind-hearted philanthropist, the proprietor of a free store in Braddock that gave away goods and clothing, and a formerly undocumented immigrant from Brazil, a vocal progressive. In early November, just weeks after the attack, Giselle arrived at her husband's Senate office, and according to a staffer present, they got into a heated argument. They are bombing refugee camps. How can you support this? The staffer recalled her saying with tears in her eyes. That's all propaganda, Fetterman replied. Later, a still visibly upset Giselle pulled the staffer aside. She asked him if members of Fetterman's team were pushing him to take these stances for political reasons. The staffer told her that the opposite was true. Many of them were just as upset as she was. If you're pushing back on this, there's no hope, the staffer recalled her saying. This is horrible news. And then there's also her apparently seeking help from his staffers to try to distance herself from this, because this is different than the image that he was at least presenting to the public. And a lot of the staffers that joined his team, some of them were former Bernie people that I knew, at least one of them, who ended up resigning. This was a major, he's lost his mind. Yep. He's lost his mind.
And so apparently somebody asked him about the story, and this was his response. Haven't heard it yet. This just came out.
Yeah, no one's ever seen that. It's a one source story with a couple anonymous sources. A hit piece from a very left publication. There's really nothing more to say about that.
He said he was worried that you're not taking your medications. Are you taking your
Pause
medications?
it for a second. I just want to be clear. Gentleson is out there right now, essentially, what we used to call hippie punching, just like slamming the left constantly. And the idea that Fetterman is making this about an ideological issue.
Here's a quote from the piece. Gentleson continues to believe broadly in the Fetterman project, that Democrats would benefit from punching left more often and that voters crave a heterodox candidate willing to stick a thumb in the eye of his own party. He says his disagreements with Fetterman are, by and large, not political, but rather an expression of genuine worry for Fetterman's well-being. So in other words, he was content to ride Fetterman like a donkey until he started moping.
And here's the thing. In addition to this being Gentleson's sort of like way of sending around his resume, he has an op-ed out, I think, today too. It was just like so concerted that it's sort of gross, but it shows you how they weaponize the left ideology. This is like, this is the last refuge. It is always like somehow this is a plot by the left to go after him.
I mean,
go ahead, continue.
Yeah, but he says he contradicts himself in 15 seconds. He says it's one source, and then he says it's multiple sources. Can we go back to the beginning?
He says one named source, but
anonymous source.
And then
that's
anonymous
not true.
Sources.
Former and current staffers. Okay, sure, but they also cite that meeting with Sherrod Brown, and Sherrod Brown is named in it. I would not be.
Sherrod Brown didn't say.
He didn't comment on it, but it's but this is an open secret in Washington, is what basically everybody has said so far.
It is one source. A guy whose entire career is on the line here, basically telling on his former boss and using his name.
One name source.
And then multiple anonymous sources. Yes, which is pretty well-established journalistic practices. You need one source, and then you need that source backed up multiple times.
And if one of the sources was your chief of staff,
that's pretty big.
And he had written a letter to a doctor at Walter Reed at the time, documenting in 1,600 words his concerns about your mental health. Yeah,
he knew he was going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Story with a couple anonymous sources. A hit piece from a very left publication. There's really nothing more to say about that.
He said he was worried that you're not taking your medications. Are you taking your medications, sir?
Again, the hit piece, anonymous source.
Is that it? That's all we have for now.
That's all. Okay. That's the NBC reporter.
The hit piece, anonymous source. Just keep repeating that, buddy.
But the left thing, the far left. What are we doing?
Sorry, where
here?
was it published?
Well, New York Magazine. Well, it's ridiculous. What, So Josh Shapiro, do we know what the protocols are for replacing him? We have a Democratic governor in Pennsylvania, not the best one, but there's a Democrat.
I don't know that there is a protocol on the state level to replace him. I mean, unless he resigns, I mean, there could be something in the Senate where they could vote. But, maybe we should get Chuck Schumer on the phone. My guess is Chuck Schumer has taken an extended vacation somewhere where there's no phones.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm at the Baileys right now. Please leave your message, beep. And incidentally, that's what he says when you walk up to him and ask a question. That's not his phone. Somebody wrote in, didn't Harry Reid kill the public option in the ACA? No, that was Joe Lieberman.
Harry Reid, the thing relevant to Gentleson particularly, is he was an outspoken opponent of the Ground Zero Mosque.
Harry Reid was not?
Harry Reid.
Really?
Yep.
So there's some ideological
I look that up every time.
Consistency across
and that was shortly.
employers.
I'm not saying it. Maybe it was after Gentleson came onto his staff, so I'm not sure if that was Gentleson's project or if Harry Reid decided to do that. But it's one of the dark marks against Reid.
Islamophobia is arguably our most widely accepted form of bigotry in this country, and it's on both sides of the aisle.
Fenton Muley's distant father. I'm going to write Fetterman a strongly worded letter asking him to take his meds and step aside. It is actually the Fenton Muley voice. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.